Let's make our Angel block work. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. The concept of Angel block came into Minecraft around 1.10 and it was provided by a mod called Extra Utils. The concept was that we have a block that we can place in the void without any other block around it. Basically, we look into the air, we right click with the block in the hand, the block sits inside the void. It helps building farms or different building types in the void dimensions or any other dimension like the end that doesn't provide lots of blocks around us to work with. Or even if you want to put a block high up in the sky, and for example you are using Elytra, that's when you can use this block. So far I just created the class, and of course inside mod blocks I'm using the block to provide the block itself. The model provider is just the cube. All the texture is there. It sits inside the item groups. The translation works. So we basically have a simple block. However, if you recall, mod blocks, every time we call this register, we are checking if we should register the block item or not. So far, up until now, every time we were registering this block item automatically. Now for Angel block, things are different. Basically, Angel block has two different components. One is the block. The block itself is simple. It sits inside the void, but when we break the block, we are not taking the block back. What we are taking back is the block item. We have to separate our block item from the block this time around because any normal block item will not have the functionality that we want. I need to register a class for the item block, and if you take a look, the block item itself extends the item. So basically it's sort of an item. However, this item block shows inside the inventory in creative mode or in things like EMI, REI, but it is not being used for any recipe or stuff like that. If you want to use things for recipe, you should use the block itself or find another way. Honestly, I think it's not the concept that you would use for building other things using recipe using this block item. Anyway, I added a package under item, called it block item, and here we are adding Angel block item, and of course it extends the item class from net Minecraft item, and of course we want the constructor. So far it's easy. We have the block item, but we have to add it under somewhere. Here is something questionable. Should we add it under mod blocks or mod items? Because it's extending the item, we can put it under mod items. Because it's related to blocks, we can put it under mod blocks. However, I will add it under items, and maybe I will add a static class here as a subclass, but I prefer not, because if I add a subclass, then we have this problem with registering and stuff like that. So public static item, and we call it Angel block item. Keep in mind, if you want to produce any translation, it should be for this item. So let's go inside our datagen, EN language provider. At the end of these items, it is for Angel block item, and it is Angel block. Now take note, I should remove this one from the translation because it works on block, and we never ever see the block inside the inventory. So we need to create the datagen again, run the datagen again. However, if you note, I just added the language file. I didn't add any loot table provider for the Angel block. For the model, I added the model for the block because I didn't add any model for the block item because block item takes its model from the block. So we don't provide a loot table. We provide the language file for the block item, and for models, we provide the model for the block. Okay, that being said, now that we have this item, we can continue. Inside the Angel block itself, we need to override a method, and the method that we want to override is onBreak. You can use onBroken, but onBreak happens when we start breaking, so I can use that. Before running the super, we say player dot get inventory dot insert a stack. We can provide a slot to be used from the inventory. However, if we don't care where it sits, we can use insert stack. And of course, mod items dot angel block item dot get default stack. this will add one block item to the inventory when we break the block. To begin with the item side of things first, we want to override the use method. Before running the super, we will check if the world is client, then we will return super because we don't have anything else to do. We need to find the position of player, and we want to do some offsetting from the player so that we can find the block that we want to be used, the position that we want to use to put the block there. We can say double x equals to user.getX. Then we will add on top of it, and that is user.getRotationVector.x. This is the looking direction of the player in x, and then we multiply it by 4.5f. Fiten is really smart and helps me. For the y, we will change it to get y level. So we are using the y level of the i's, and this is the x, y, and z coordinates that we want to make use of. Now we say block pose, POS or pause, equals to new block pose of x, y, and z. However, we have a problem because right now x, y, and z are doubles. So we have to typecast to int, but instead of using x directly, we say math.floor of x, and then we do the same deal on y, and we do the same thing on z. So now we have integers as block position. Now we want to check if this block position is in the proper distance from the player so that we can place the block. We say if world.is in build limit the pause, then we will start doing things. The first thing that we want to do is exactly what you see, world.set block on the position with the default state of angel block. But this time we have to say .set block state on the position with the block state. Now the block state here is mod blocks.angel.getDefaultState and block.notify all. This will put the block inside the word. Now we say if not player, or here we call it user, is creative. Because if the user is creative, we don't want to reduce items from its hand. But if it's not creative, we want to remove one item from the user's hand. So we have to say the user dot get stack in hand exactly hand dot decrement 1. So we find the item stack in the hand, we remove 1 from the item stack. And that's it basically. So we find a position, we put a block in that position, and then we remove one item from the hand. Now this is the block item. Finally, we can go back and register our block a little bit differently, because right now we were calling a register, and here we are going to say at the very end comma false. And you see that this comma false is indicating that, hey, we don't have any item for the block item. Now we have to register our own block item ourselves. It's just simple. I was thinking about adding a new helper method, and instead of block, I would accept a block item. I will do that because in future I will rip this class from all these helper methods and add them to a package, block item, and this is block item, and here we just cut it and say block item. Okay, so for the name, if you recall, we are using the same name. That's nice because now come back here and say register block item. For the name, we will use block underline angel. And we will paste this block item here, and this is angel because that's the block. However, instead of using a new block item, we will say angel block item, and this will basically save our own block items. Now there is a problem related to our constructor, because if we take a look at any block item, we see that the constructor accepts a block and we have to add it on our side. So this is the block, and it says this.block equals to block. So we should be able to actually call the super just by sending in the block, and here instead of item we should call it a block item, and the whole thing will work. Now we added our own block item and we registered it for our angel block. Now notice that the block item returns void because we don't need to have that, but this is a very wrong place for this method. Actually, we have to cut it from here and we have to come back into the mod items. Yes, because now this is the block item and we have to cut down this method and we have to paste it on the helpers and we have to return that item because now we are using it and we return it. Okay, however, here is something. Now you notice that I'm calling mod blocks.angel here. In other words, now my mod items is using from something from my mod blocks. So I have to come back into the main, and now I should make sure that the item is happening after the block, because I want to make sure that the block has some entry for the angel before I register it this way. And that's all the thing. So if I run the game right now, well, I have to run the data gen first, but if I run the game now, hopefully we will see that whenever I break an angel block, it should put an angel block item in my hand, and whenever I right click it in void or in empty spaces, it should put an angel block inside the game. Let's give it a try. So let's run the game. Now, as Minecraft is coming up, I want to mention that if you want to be completely free of order of operations here, you should take this angel block item out of mod items and put it back inside mod blocks. And of course, you have to put this register method back inside mod blocks. And of course, this time you have to return the item because you are using it inside here, and you will have to fix this one from mod items to mod blocks. But as I said, it's something that you can do in both ways. And in my opinion, both of them are correct. However, because it is extending item, I'm keeping it that way. Okay, let's see. Let's first of all get an angel block and put it somewhere. Okay, then I will break it. Remember, we are in creative right now, but I will break it, and you see that I get 2 angel blocks. Now remember, this is not a block, it's a block item. Okay, let's put it back, and yeah, whenever you break it, it will add something. But let's go into survival and let's break it now, and you see that it goes back inside the inventory. However, you notice that we are not handling the creative mode, and it was intentional because I wanted to show you that you have to make sure that the player that is creative is false here. So if it's false, then add the item into the inventory. And here we are checking that if it's not creative, then we will decrement from the hand. That's okay. One last test is that can we put the block inside, I don't know, sky without any blocks around ourselves? So the easiest way is to look up and right click, and as you see, the item is there. But let's move up into the air as creative. And of course, now I should be able to put it there, and it's there. So no matter where I look, I can put a block if I want to, and it will work. And of course, from now on, it's just a normal block. And now that I'm checking if it's creative or not, if I break something, it will not add an extra into the inventory. And this is an angel block, basically. You put it inside void, and then you can build upon it. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.